What's going on, everyone? Welcome back along to the channel. Now, each week we have a Super Rugby Preview on the channel here where I try to get guests on to try and extend with the variety of opinions that we have here on the channel. Now, last week we had the Scottish Canon coming in for round 14 of Super Rugby, where we talked about every match going on and what happened last week and this week, etc, etc. Now, not a lot of you out there don't watch the Super Rugby Preview. You've liked certain things on the channel and you don't watch the others. But I thought this little excerpt from the preview was worth showing out there to you all who don't have the time, because they are quite long episodes normally. Don't have the time or just aren't interested, but we did go off topic quite a bit in this preview. And one point especially where we looked at where the Waratahs are completely falling apart, and to a lesser extent where Australian rugby is falling apart by that as well. So I thought it would be a decent idea to isolate this little piece out for you guys to all have a listen to as well. It's not too long, and just gauge opinions on what is going on with Australian rugby in its current state. So as we mentioned at the end of the preview, if you've seen it as well, we are pretty keen to see what everyone else thinks about what the Canon said and about Australian rugby as a whole as well. So watch this through, enjoy the rant that the Canon goes on as well, and let us know what you think. But just to put it in context for you here, we are talking about the Waratahs versus the Highlanders match for round 14, having a look at what will happen, but it just goes very quickly into a big full-on rage about the Waratahs and Australian rugby. So enjoy, and of course, let us know in the comments down below what you think about his comments and Australian rugby and the Waratahs as well. That's all from me. Enjoy, and I'll see you all next time. The next match, this is the big one though. This is the one we want to talk about. Yeah. Highlanders, Waratahs. Where you go? Go for it.
Well,
go crazy.
Give me some context. I can rant, but do you want to give me some context?
Go crazy about your Waratahs.
Alright, the Waratahs...
Are they going to win? Do they have a chance? What's their problems? Chance, Why can't they play rugby? Why can't they catch a ball? Why are so many good star-studded players so incapable of playing rugby?
Well, it's a few things. First of all, confidence. We've talked about confidence for about 10 minutes. Very, very good example here. The Waratahs players are not confident enough in their own abilities, and that is because of the culture and the coaching of Daryl Gibson. I think Daryl Gibson was a great player. I respect him, but he is a Kiwi. He is he doesn't know the Australian rugby style as much as we could. The traditional Australian rugby style of, you can go back to the late 90s, early noughties, or even the 2015 Rugby World Cup or the 2011 Rugby Championship. Australia has its own way of playing. They can't try to copy the Kiwis. They've got to do the simple things right. They've got to be confident in their own abilities, and they've got to and respect their own players. I don't know if you saw the match. I think you did see the match, the Waratahs versus the Rebels. Yep. Did you see the confrontation that the Michael Hooper had with Angus Gardner in the first 15 minutes?
Talking when that yellow card about the same time as that?
Yeah. So they had the yellow card, and then there was another stupid penalty that Dean Mum gave away. And then Angus Gardner, again called time off, had a 2-minute conversation with Michael Hooper, and he's like, I am frustrated. I really am frustrated. I've told the boys twice, and they just are not listening to me. They're giving shit. That is a toxic environment. You can solely by his word choice alone. You could say it was within the war or battle, but they've been doing it for the last, this entire season, is that they don't trust each other. They are not in a culture that is motivating each other to be their best. And you've seen it. Israel Folau, he is below his best. Bernard Foley, he looks great when he works with Nick Phipps because they know each other so well. But when Nick Phipps either works with Mac Mason or works with Bryce Hegarty, who I think has got no X factor to him, or even with Jake Gordon. I like Jake Gordon, but I'm not sure about the chemistry of Jake Gordon at 9 and 10. And then at 12, you've got Rob Horn or you have David Horwitz. They are, they're taking much longer than usual to gel. And this is the problem I've got with the Waratahs, is that A, they're not motivated enough. B, their culture is not that of a champion team. It is not that is not professional. It is literally, I would use it because I'm studying business. It is a bunch of smaller businesses coming together as one to try to form a collective agreement, but everyone's got their own self-interest that they're not working together as a cohesive unit. And this comes all the way from the top because the coach, A, is not structurally getting it right, and B, is not getting the best out of his players. And that's what Michael Cheika did. Michael Cheika is a great coach. You can completely see how he turns teams around. I'm not sure about his long-term progress. I'm going to have to wait and see, but he gets the best out of his players. He knows how to motivate their players, and just like any business or just like any enterprise, you've got to motivate the players. You've got to know what they do well, and always give good feedback. What they're doing great, what they're doing badly, instead of everything that is negative at the moment. Does that make sense, or does that rant just go off in 100 different tangents?
I'm going to add a little timestamp in the description of this video for Scottish Canon Waratahs rants, just because that's what everyone's been wanting this whole time. But you brought up a few things. I'm going to mention more. The whole Hooper thing with that topic and talk with the ref. Leadership. Do you think he's captain material?
Definitely captain material. Definitely captain material. It's just he is not respected enough by his peers.
Do you think, though, he should have taken more leadership for that and made it his problem rather than, like, why would you even say that to a referee? The referee's not going to give two shits what you think about that. He should have been going to the players and laying down the law, not just making up bad excuses.
It would be like your boss telling you, do this way, do this way. You do it exactly the way he wants to, and then, well, that makes no sense. You do it the exact way he wants to, but he gives you something different. But he had a clear message, but the players went off in a different tangent. Dean Mum, he gave two of the most stupid penalties away I've ever seen in the Waratahs. A lazy offside penalty, and a really stupid, I think it was a ruck or a thing. I don't know what was up with Dean Mum there, but he is a veteran. He is a leader within the side, but he's not leading from the front. And even if you think back to the Blues game, which I was on the sideline for, Michael Hooper, when he rushed up early from a lineup ball, he was offside by about 3 meters by moving up before the lineup was out of the lineup. He took ownership of that, and he told his players, but again, when this post-match interview, he goes and says, I didn't lead from the front because of that. He took accountability for his actions, but it didn't seem like, if a leader can take accountability for their actions, but if the people under him are not doing a good enough job, he can't blame himself. If you take too much responsibility, it's going to affect your own game, and unfortunately, before you're a leader, you're actually a rugby player.
That's true. That is very true. So you're solely putting this down to just the coach as a problem from the top?
I'm putting it down to the culture.
Any players?
Well,
what about players?
To be honest, I think New South Wales has got some great talent coming through, but I just don't think. I mean, Ned Hannigan, he's a good player. Some other great, Jet Holloway, he's a good player. And these other players, McJulian and Tom Robinson, all these players coming through will be Wallabies in the future, and they'll be absolutely great players. But at the moment, they're just another name. They're just not trying to play a game that is their own, and they're not doing the simple things right. And that is why I think it comes down to culture. It comes down to coaching, and it comes. Honestly, I really think it does come down to the culture and the environment, not just within the Waratahs. I think internally it's bad, but also on the outside in Australian rugby as a whole. And, I mean, the big story this week is that there's a special meeting between the Rugby Union Players Association in Australia and the ARU. People on that board include players like Bernard Foley and Stephen Moore. They're leaders who need to be solely responsible for their own Super Rugby sides, but they've been caught up in someone else's drama, and that structurally comes all the way up from the top, and that's the problem.
So, given the circumstances we currently sit on right now, Waratahs say they do top the Australian Conference. Yeah. Does Gibson keep his job?
No.
Oh, no.
No. I don't care if the Waratahs lose. I really don't. As long as they put in a good performance. If a team is better than the Waratahs, like the Crusaders were in that match at Allianz Stadium earlier this year, I am more than happy with the Waratahs losing. I'm accepting that there's a better side. But when the Waratahs beat themselves, like they did against the Kings, like they did against the Hurricanes in the first half, like they did against the Brumbies, pretty much 5 of their 7 losses this year, or maybe, probably 4 or 5 of their losses this year, the Waratahs have beaten themselves before the other teams have beaten them. The Waratahs should be on 6 or 7 wins for the season, but they're not. They're on 4.
And they've got an opponent, of course, which we are going to talk about. Yes. The Highlanders. They're looking hot at the moment, the Highlanders. Hot. 8 in a row. You can't really argue with that.
No.
And they're at home.
Yeah.
The Waratahs are travelling.
Yeah.
I know you're still going to pick them. You're still going to pick the Waratahs.
I've got to stay loyal. It's just like the captain's got to stay with his ship until it sinks.
Well, they're sinking pretty bad. Well, no, they're still slightly afloat. I'll give them that. They're still there or thereabouts. What reasons do you think they're going to possibly win this game? What advantage do they have over a Highlanders team on a winning streak at home?
They haven't played an 18-minute performance. As soon as
what makes you think they're going to do that this weekend?
I haven't said that, have I? I said if the Waratahs put an 18-minute performance in, which they haven't done so all season, for that Rebels game, they basically played for 30 or 40 minutes of it. They put 50 on the Rebels. They scored 3 tries in the final 10 minutes. They scored 3 tries in the 10 minutes just before halftime. That's 6 of their 8 tries. And the other try... but, I mean, if they give away 8 straight penalties in the first 10 minutes, 15 minutes against the Highlanders, it'll be 28-0 within the first 10, 15 minutes. But if not, if the Waratahs in there for the grind, if they're in there and completely something clicks, they just feel confident, they start building confidence throughout the match, they will be able to beat the Highlanders. But if not, the Highlanders have got the X-Actors of Ben Smith and Aaron Smith and Lima Soparang. We all know the big names in the Highlanders. But if the Waratahs can click, they are one of the top 3 teams in the competition.
Big call.
It is a big call. It really is. The Waratahs' best is top 3 in the competition.
How much are they going to win by?
It will be a small margin if they do. I'll do 1 or 2 points. But it's going to be a cracking game, assuming the Waratahs show up and play rugby. But they haven't done so in 11 matches.
I hope they're practicing how to catch a ball.
Exactly. And even these matches after the buys, they've had 2 buys now. After their buys, they've looked flat for the first 20, 25 minutes. Honestly, I don't know what it's down to, but something has to change. You can't just keep going along with a dog. It's a dog, and you've got to get rid of it if it's not doing anything good. So I'm just using random examples here, but I'm just very passionate about the current situation of the Waratahs because I know they're capable of more. When you're at 50%, basically the entire season, I get pissed off.
Don't you think, though, if Australian Rugby look at this and they see that the Waratahs have topped the Australian pool, they'd consider that a success?
No, they're not that stupid.
But they've topped the pool, though. They're the best team.
I don't care if they top the pool. They haven't won. Australia has not won a game against New Zealand. Super Rugby sides, is it 30 or 35, 40 straight matches? That is ridiculous. Shitloads. Absolutely ridiculous.
But I can't see them going to chop their best team's coach because of that.
I'm talking Australia as a whole. New South Wales, they need... the Australian club, the Sydney Club Rugby is at one of the strongest points in the moment. The Sheet Shield, the first grade in Australian rugby at the moment, is at almost an all-time high. Some people may disagree, but being around that environment weekly, Australian club rugby is absolutely great. But it's that middle tier that's the problem. And that problem is going to be fixed by radical structural change. And I cannot wait for that ARU announcement because it's completely needed. This uncertainty at the moment and this garbage at the moment is not good for the game of rugby. It disenfranchises the fans. And even the most passionate fans, which I am, it completely takes me out of the game of rugby. And sometimes I just don't want to be a part of it. And that sucks, but it's the truth.
Anything else you want to add about the Waratahs?
I mean, is that the rant everyone was looking for?
I think so.
I mean,
feel free to add anything more if you like.
I mean, I had to do a couple of shots of chili sauce because of the Waratahs. So, why do you think I'm letting this all out now?
Go for it. That's what the people want. That's why they want you back.
That's what I've let it all out. I mean, it's just some people just get too pessimistic and just don't actually understand the circumstances of it. So, you know, Australian rugby's in the hole at the moment. It really is. It's the middle tier. It's the Super Rugby. And, you know, high performance is a big problem at the moment. But the AI, you've got to do something about it. If they don't, the Australian rugby is completely going to die. And that's the unfortunate truth. I might have to move over to Scotland or England to be... that's something that I would love to be in, is an environment where rugby is at the forefront, which you get in New Zealand, which people get in South Africa. And England, while it's football, man, rugby is still huge in England as well. And unfortunately, I can't say that about Australia.
That's true.
And that's a shame. Coming after the 2000s, when rugby was basically at the same level of the league, now it's not. So it comes down to the administration and nothing else.
That was good.
I mean, it was good to let it all out, but you know, if someone sees it or someone reacts to it, I would love to get some responses. I'd love to get people's reactions to it. But you know, I'm just being completely honest, and as a person that would want, you know, wants to implement strategy in business and stuff like that, it just really annoys me when I can see that strategically and things are not working, and people have to do something about it.
So you're going for the Waratahs. I'm going for the Highlanders.
I'm going to stay loyal. Yeah.
Highlanders by 22, and that's being nice. The Richie
I
Beno.
feel bad that we haven't talked more about the Highlanders here.
The Richie Beno is coming out, 22.